Here's a simple question. Let's say we are walking and we meet this giant screaming mammoth. Do we run because we are afraid, or are we afraid because we run? According to William James, a psychologist in the 1900s, the answer is this. More specifically, your brain concludes that you are afraid based on a number of physiological reactions such as higher adrenaline level, a faster heartbeat, or higher respiratory rate. Later on, a researcher named Stanley Schachter added that the brain also looks for environmental cues to explain these physiological reactions, giving rise to the subjective emotions that we feel. In other words, our emotions don't actually make our heart beat faster. Rather, our mind's perception of a faster heartbeat in that particular context is the emotion itself. Cool, but how do we get from here to here? Well, a number of different brain regions are involved in the production of emotions like fear and anxiety, and they form a neurocircuit. The thalamus acts as some sort of sieve to filter out the important information. So when it sees a potential threat, the potential threat is processed through two pathways. In the first one, the thalamus sends it to the amygdala, which is some sort of CIA of the brain. So the amygdala looks through all these data from the thalamus, and when it sees something that is threatening, it sends alarm bells to other regions of the brain to tell them how to respond.
For example, the amygdala sends signals to tell the hypothalamus to activate the HPA axis, leading to the production of cortisol, a fight or flight hormone. In other cases, it sends signals to the midbrain, which controls the peripheral nervous system. For example, if the amygdala wants to increase your respiratory rate, it sends signals to this area called the parabrachydactyl nucleus. In other cases, if it thinks that playing dead is an appropriate response, it sends signals to this area called the periarthrodactyl wave, which causes a person to freeze.
So this results in all the physiological changes that we have mentioned earlier, such as higher adrenaline level or a faster heartbeat. However, there's only so much that the amygdala can do with so little information, and this is why the second pathway is so important in the regulation of our emotional responses. So in the second pathway, the thalamus sends sensory data to the sensory cortex, then to the association cortex. And this cortex is like the supercomputers of our brain. Essentially what they do is that they process this raw sensory data to help the amygdala answer questions. So this helps the amygdala to adjust our emotional responses so that it would be appropriate. So let's say the association cortex figure out that the animal that we saw was actually harmless, it sends a signal to tell the amygdala to stop and your muscle tension drops. Because information from the body constantly goes back to the brain notices these physiological changes and interprets it in a particular context, giving rise to the subjective emotions.